is the Constituent Assembly. When, then, where the makers of the Indian Constitution. You will find here very brief sketch of some of the leaders who played an important role in making the Constitution. Now we will discuss one by one which were the important leaders who played an important role while making the Indian Constitution. The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representative called the Constituent Assembly. So who had made the different types of rules and regulation? There was the elected representative, and they were the member of the all the members who were elected, they were the member of the Constituent Assembly. So this is the body who made the Indian Constitution. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. So in the year July 1946, election for the members of the Constituent Assembly were held. Its first meeting was held in December 1946. So its first meeting was held in December 1946. Remember the month as well as year. Soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. So once this election was held in the country was divided into two parts, that is India and Pakistan. The Constituent Assembly was also divided into Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan. So even the Constituent Assembly was also divided into two parts. One was of Pakistan and one was of India. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. So there were total 299 members in the Constituent Assembly. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26 December 1949, but it came into effect on 26 January 1950. So though they have adopted our Indian Constitution 26 November 1949, but it came into force in 1950, 26 January 1950. To mark this day, we celebrate January 26 as a Republic Day every year. So why we celebrate 26 January as a Republic Day every year? Why? Because our Indian Constitution it came into effect. Okay. Why should we accept the Constitution made by this assembly more than 50 years ago? We have already noted one reason above. The Constitution does not reflect the views of its member alone. It expresses a broad consensus of its time. So these different types of rules and regulations which are mentioned in the Indian Constitution, it has made more than 50 years ago. But why we are following these rules and regulations now? Why? Because the different types of rules and regulations which are mentioned in the Indian Constitution, it is not only mentioned on the basis of the leaders who were present in the Indian Constitution, but also according to the needs and requirement of the society. Many countries of the world have had to rewrite their constitution afresh because the basic rules were not accepted to all the major social group or political parties. So in different types of countries, they have written the constitution many times. Why? Because the basic needs or basic rules of the different social groups and political groups were not accepted. In some other countries, the constitution exists as a mere piece of paper. So in other countries, they consider constitution as just a piece of paper. No one actually follows it. The expression of our constitution is different. The experience of our constitution is different. Over the last half a century, several groups have questioned some provision of the constitution, but no large social group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the constitution itself. This is an unusual achievement of for any constitution. Though there are different types of factors which different groups does not accept and they question, but we can change that. But till now there are no rules and regulations which are cancelled because as it is done in the other countries. The second reason for accepting the constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represent the people of India. So in our Indian constitution, the most important factor is that the people of India is given the important role. There was no universal adult franchisee at that time. So the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people. It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislature that we mentioned above. These ensure a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. So in our Indian constitution, we choose our leader on the basis of adult franchisee, universal adult franchisee. That means all the people are participating in order to choose their representative. But when the Constituent Assembly was established, a universal adult franchisee was not there, but once this body was elected, again the universal adult franchisee was adopted in our India, and all the people plays an important role. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that lead India's freedom struggle. So when the Constituent Assembly was established, it was dominated by the members of the Indian National Congress, who had played an important role to free India from the British rule. But the Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. The assembly had many members who did not agree with the Congress. Though it was dominated by the Congress leader, but there are different types of people whose ideas and views does not match with the Congress. In social terms too, the assembly represent members from different social groups, caste, classes, religions and occupations. So in the Constituent Assembly also different types of peoples are you can say are members who speak different languages, whose caste is different, whose class is different, and their religion and occupation is also different. Even if the Constituent Assembly was elected by universal adult franchisee, its composition would not have been very difficult. Finally, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly work gives sanctity to the Constitution. So whatever the different types of rules and regulation which were made in the Indian Constitution, it plays an important role, and till now we follow those rules and regulation. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open and consensual manner. So our Constituent Assembly, who had made the Indian Constitution or drafted the Indian Constitution, it works in a very systematic, open and consensual manner. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. So first they will write certain principle, and then they will decide and they will have a group discussion whether these laws should be implemented or not. Then a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. So once our Indian Constitution was made, again a drafting committee was chaired by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and who prepared a sketch of the Indian Constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussion took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. So there was different types of discussion which took place, and they have discussed each line or each law one by one. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. So there were more than 2,000 amendments. Amendments means it is a procedure through which a law can be changed in our India. The members deliberated for 114 days spread over 3 years. So our Indian Constitution took 114 days to complete. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly have been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. When printed, these debates are 12 bulky volumes. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. So whatever different types of debates, discussions which were made in the you can say drafting committee, everything is written in our Indian Constitution, and when this Constitution was printed, it total comes about 12 volumes, 12 bulky volume books. So all these debates and discussions, why they are written in the Indian Constitution? Why? Because they are you can say they are used as a reference for the future purpose, and till now different types of judges, especially in the Supreme Court, the different types of judges, they use these debates and discussion to interpret the meaning of our Constitution.